Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sportsbook Review. I'm your host, Martin Green, and today we have three Euro 2020 fixtures to preview. I'm delighted to have alongside me the legendary Tancredi Palmeri and blockbuster new signing George Gamble. But we'll be back as well at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time with Alex and Matt to preview a few more games taking place over the weekend. I just wanted to start before we break these games down by mentioning a few futures markets. Some of the viewers on the last show that we did were asking who we think are going to win the tournament and some more sort of long-term picks. So I just wanted to kick things off by saying, personally, I'm going for France to win it at plus 450. I think they're just going to be too strong for the competition with N'Golo Kante in midfield and that just outrageously strong strike force. England to reach the semi-finals, I like at plus 170. I'm also liking Harry Kane to win the Golden Boot. Sorry to say to any Slovakians that are watching this, I've got Slovakia to finish bottom of their group. And I like a couple of dual forecasts, England, Croatia and Belgium ahead of Denmark in their group. What do you guys like, George? Who do you think might go on and win this tournament?
Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with you. I think France, you just look at the depth in their squad, it's ridiculous. I was quite surprised actually to see their odds. But, you know, they're going to Germany, obviously in their first game, and I think that might have something to do with it. You know, if they can get a win in Munich against Germany, then it just sets a precedent for them for the rest of the tournament. And everyone knows the strength and depth they've got. They've got quality in all positions. And I think in the latter rounds, they know how to win tournaments. We saw that in the World Cup. They weren't sort of they didn't sort of tear teams apart. They weren't absolutely phenomenal, but they got the job done and got to where they needed to get. And the quality, the cream rise to the top, didn't it? And I think we could see a very similar thing in this tournament. So I'm 100% in agreement with you in terms of France. I think they'll be the ones to go on and win this. I also very much like Belgium and Denmark in a dual forecast. I couldn't believe the price of them because those two sides, the sheer difference in quality between them and the other two. Just the price for them to finish either in first or second, respectively, as a dual forecast was incredible. But yeah, and as well as that, I also quite like the similar bet in the different group with Netherlands and Ukraine. I think those two will top the group. So I do quite like that one. In terms of top goal scorers, there's just one standout for me. Obviously, I want Harry Kane to be it. I'd love for that to happen. But I think Romelu Lukaku. I think he's in with a shout because when you're looking for a top goal scorer, you want someone that's going to be involved in all the games. They've got obviously some tough games there, so I don't think they'll rest him necessarily. He'll be playing most of his games. Obviously, he'll probably take their penalties as well. And Belgium are a side that tear teams apart. They score 4 or 5 goals. They're not one of these sides, maybe score 1 or 2 and then shut up shop. They like to go and get that third or fourth. And just the sheer creative flair that Belgium have. Obviously, I know De Bruyne's potentially out for, I think, their first game, maybe, with obviously a broken nose. But yeah, Romelu Lukaku, I think when I looked, it was plus 650 for him to be top goal scorer. And I thought that was a great price.
Yeah, great price. And you can afford to go each way at those sort of odds and get paid out a healthy profit if he finishes in the top few positions. No, thanks. I agree with all of those. And Tan, we've got you in situ at the Stadio Olimpico, where Italy are going to be playing Turkey in the opening game of the tournament later on. What's the mood like?
Yes, indeed. A little bit of context because people might think that I just want to show off wearing mask, but actually you can see just behind there it's a bit hidden by the trees and by the sports building, the red sports building, but it's Stadio Olimpico there, and with actually that is a fascist obelisk that is still standing there, but it's over there. And I have to say, it's mounting up. The atmosphere is mounting up. Today there was the opening of the fan zone. And you could see that until yesterday, maybe there was only curiosity, but from today, things are different. People walk around as they would be allowed again to be to celebrate, to be together, but still not so much. Also many together. If you think about it, it's weird because it's the first time after 15 months which is legally allowed this again. But I have to say, great atmosphere that is mounting. Possibly it's all things going together. A Euro that is starting, is kicking off. A Euro itself, a Euro kicking off as an Italian in your own country, and the fact that you see all of a sudden people that can be back in stadium and attend. It's all things coming together. It's really fantastic, and I think you will see something similar in Wembley in 2 days.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that bit of live reporting there from our man in Italy.
I have to tell you also, because you might wonder, okay, but why still is wearing a mask? Because being I got to find that it's like crazy weather today, very hot, very this sun would just break the phone, so I have to find a place that would be in the shadow, so I have to be in this bar the odd, so I'm wearing the mask for them. So that's why I'm keeping up, not to be a poser or a show off.
Not a political statement going on there. Just keeping safe and healthy during these difficult times at the moment. Great. We'll start analysing the games in just a minute. First, just a gentle reminder to please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell. That way you will be notified every time we're about to start filming shows on football, basketball, baseball, tennis, UFC, lots of other sports. And please head on over to sportsbookreview.com. There you will find articles written by Tan, lots of other esteemed sports writers, pro handicappers, a wealth of information there. Click the link in the video description to be taken through to sportsbookreview.com. Okay, we're kicking off. England versus Croatia. A 2018 World Cup semi-final. Can England get revenge? They have since drawn 0-0 with Croatia in Croatia, and they beat them 2-1 at Wembley later in 2018. Haven't played for a few years. Seems like Croatia have regressed a little bit since then, with no more Mandzukic and Rakitic, but they still do have a lot of quality in midfield. What do you think, George? How's this one going to pan out?
It's very difficult not to look at this one through England tinted specs, though, isn't it? But no, trying to sort of dive into the data as well. I agree with you. I do think Croatia have gone backwards since that World Cup. Obviously, devastating defeat for England. But yeah, they do have an Asian squad. Obviously, a couple of players have retired. They're trying to obviously bring some youth in. But they're about to face an England side who've injected their own youth. And, you know, watching it, all right, we've not been... England are notoriously slow starters at tournaments, we know that, but watching them, we've got pace in abundance, we've got players that love to attack, love to target and isolate defenders. And with this Asian Croatia side, I do feel that England will cause them a lot of problems, particularly at Wembley as well. And the thing with Croatia, they've been dreadful against sides with any kind of quality of late. In the Nations League, Croatia lost all 4 games to France and Portugal, with all of those, going over 2.5 goals, and 3 of them went over the 4.5 goal line. They've won just 2 of their last 9, and they came against Cyprus and Malta. With all due respect to Cyprus and Malta, it's nothing to write home about when you claim victories against sides like that. But yeah, they've been beaten by France, Portugal, Slovenia, and Sweden, alongside Belgium in their final warm-up game. And they also narrowly avoided relegation in the Nations League as well. And for a side that not too long ago played in the World Cup final, the disparity is there for all to see. But the one thing I think these two sides have got in common, England and Croatia, is they're vulnerable defensively. Obviously, as we know, England are going to be missing Harry Maguire potentially until the last group stage. And obviously, I'm a City fan, always have been. I love John Stones, but the one thing I know about John Stones is he has got a mistake in him. He does. It's just part of his game. And I still think that Croatia could cause our defence problems. So it's going to be who's got the better attack, in my opinion. But, the 3 Lions, they're unbeaten in their 6 previous major tournament group stage matches that have been played at Wembley. And I do think, as Tan's already alluded to, with fans kind of gearing up, getting ready for the Euros, sort of feeling that atmosphere, I see England coming out on top here. I really do.
Great, thanks. Yeah, I think John Stones really needs a tough, strong defender next to him, like a Tarkowski sort of defender. I'm not quite sure if someone like Ben White or Connor Cody, maybe I'd go Tyrone Mings. Not sure who he's going to select as his defensive partner. But yeah, I agree that England could be vulnerable. But like you said, Croatia lost 5 out of 6 games in their Nations League campaign and conceded 16 goals in that time. So they're definitely vulnerable at the back too. Tan, what are you going for in this one, please?
This is not the semi-final of 2018. So English fans and Panthers should keep that in mind. That's a completely different story. First of all, because it's a completely different story. Secondly, because Mandzukic has retired, Rakitic has retired, Croatia is a completely different team, completely different momentum, completely different inspiration. Third of all, it's because England have lost that semi-final. So imagine with which approach they will get into this game. And this is basically carbon copy the same group, the same group of people, same group of guys that played that semi-final. So it's still pretty in their mind what happened there. It's still burning inside them. And wow, all of a sudden, the very first competitive game in a final tournament is against that one that turned off their dream, because obviously we are not considering the third place final as a competitive game of a final tournament. So but the motivation and I would say something beyond motivation is obviously on that side. And still, it wouldn't be enough, because if there wouldn't be that backstory for the way that England has built up and has arrived, and for the way that actually Croatia has survived all the retirements they had, you can see like it's all leaning on English side. Add on the Wembley factor, add on the fact that it's supposed to be full house at Wembley, or anyway, is it full house? Is it 100% of attendance?
I don't believe it's not a full house. No, I don't believe.
50% then maybe. So anyway, I would say that 45,000 English drunk are pretty loud. So they will sound at 150,000. So I see this going completely towards England. Odds on England to win would be already good, normal but good. But anyway, I would say England are always considering something, but all in all, in spite of how unimpressive Croatia has been, they have always been able to find the goal, if I'm not mistaken, 6 times out of the last 6 games. So I go for the combo, which is very rich. England to win and both teams to score.
Like it, Sam, like it. They've got dangerous players down the flank there. Ante Rebic, they could hurt definitely. I think the odds are okay on a straight England win. I'm going to either go for England to win and over 1.5 goals, or England to win and under 4.5 goals. I can see a sort of 2-1 win for England, and that's just because I do feel that Croatia have gone backwards a bit in recent years. The next game, slightly different level of overall quality, perhaps. We've got Austria versus North Macedonia, and the North Macedonians are actually making their first ever appearance in a major tournament. They finished 3rd in their group behind Austria, and they did lose home and away to Austria during the qualifying campaign. But since then, they've been pretty good. They beat Germany 2-1 in a World Cup qualifier at the end of March. So spirits are high in this North Macedonian camp. Wonder how it's going to go. I'll go to you, Tan. What do you think?
You have to consider always and to factor always the debutant effect when it is about these teams. Obviously, there is no comparison between North Macedonia and do you say in English Macedonia or Macedonia?
We say Macedonia, but
Macedonia, yes, it's in Macedonian that actually is Macedonia. There is no comparison between obviously the level of North Macedonia and Austria, and this in spite of the fact that actually Austria is not that impressive. They got only couple of good single ones like Alaba, Arnautovic. But anyway, it's the same group. Has been played together. Sorry, guys. You better go with George. I'm going to take a bit of water.
Okay, thanks very much, Tan. He's putting his voice on the line for us here. He's the steps that he's taking to deliver his picks from outside Stadio Olimpico. That's the level of dedication that we have with the SBR team. No, I also think that Austria have got a very, very good team. Alaba's just one of the best players in the world for me, and a quality midfield. and Arnautovic up front is a very dangerous striker. What do you reckon, George? What are you going for in this one?
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying that Austria have got obviously quality individuals in their side. Now, Arnautovic, even though he applies his trade in China, he's still a great goal scorer. But I do think North Macedonia, they've been seriously written off against one of the more traditional names in Europe. But at the same time, it's still an Austria side who haven't qualified for a World Cup since Scotland were last there in '98. So there's something missing there. And the Macedonians, they might be the lowest ranked team in the tournament, but they're far from hopeless, as you've already alluded to. They beat Germany 2-1, and that's the first time the Germans had lost a championship home qualifier for 20 years. So that took some doing. But yeah, in Austria, they're going into this not exactly brimming with confidence with the manager. Their fans wanted out. Poor start to their World Cup campaign. They were thumped 4-0 at home by Denmark and drew with Scotland. But Macedonia have scored in 14 of their last 15 games. And I think the one thing that's been underestimated, they're going to be absolutely buzzing to be in this tournament. For them, they've made it. It's dreamland for them. And they're going to be playing with that confidence that they've got there. And obviously, off the back of that Germany win, they'll know that they can cause teams problems. And the fact they have scored, in 14 of their last 15. I actually really like North Macedonia just to get on the score sheet. These two have faced each other, as you've already alluded to, twice in qualifying for this tournament. But they found the score sheet on both occasions. Yes, they were beaten quite comfortably, but they still managed to get on the score sheet. So yeah, for me, I quite like North Macedonia to score, and that was minus 118, or if you're following this from elsewhere, that was 1.85, which I thought offered tremendous value.
Indeed. I agree that North Macedonia's best players are all in attack. Obviously, the veteran Goran Pandev, who got the key goal against Georgia that took them through to this tournament, and Elmas and Bardi, they look pretty dangerous in midfield going forward. So, yeah, I can see them getting on the score sheet in this one too. Are we ready to go back to you, Tan, for your pick on this one?
Yes, of course. Sorry, but when you talk longly behind the mask, then without drinking a bit, the voice is always getting a bit weird. As I was saying, you have to factor that enthusiasm factor with Macedonia. The fact that if you look, they are through to this thanks to the playoff of League D of Nations League. Otherwise, they would never make it. But still, they had huge team spirit that brought them till the achievement. And I think they are going to bring that in this. Austria is not exceptional as level, but they got, as I was saying, those single players that are another level. At the same time, is the same team that is playing together since a long time. It's the same team basically that qualified to Euro 2016. So they are very well proved. I think that enthusiasm is going to count at the beginning. I'm not sure if it's going to last till the end. So I think very, very valuable is going with a draw at the halftime and Austria to win in the second half.
Nice. I like it a lot. We've got some great comments coming in the chat. We've also got Black Baller, who is getting in touch from Vienna, and he actually thinks that Austria are a bit overrated. But there's quite a few people saying that they think Austria can get the job done. Barcaman's going for Austria -1 on the Asian handicap. Ergo Caustic's going for Kaladzic to score. Badway thinks that Austria should win. Captain Chichi reminds us that we're forgetting Alioski. Very, very good player that he is. Okay, next up. Very tough game, I think, for the Netherlands. They've got home advantage because Amsterdam is one of the host cities, but they're taking on a very, very strong and stubborn Ukraine team. Portugal and France have both failed to beat this Ukraine team in recent years. They're strong. I mean, they don't have the star quality that perhaps the Netherlands have, but they're very together. And a lot of the players play for Dynamo Kiev or Shakhtar Donetsk, so they know each other well, and they seem really fired up for this tournament. What do you think, George? Can the Dutch pull it off? Can they succeed where France and Portugal failed?
I think they can. I think this is probably going to be their toughest, well, undoubtedly going to be their toughest game in the group. But the advantage for them is, as you've already said, it's being played at the Johan Cruyff Arena. So it's essentially a home match. And they're unbeaten in their last 5. They've scored in all of them. They've scored 2 or more goals in 4 of those as well. They've also conceded in 3 of those 5. And that was against Scotland, Bosnia and Spain. But yeah, the only sides in the last 5 who haven't scored were Georgia and Latvia. And again, no disrespect to them, but I don't have the greatest of quality. So I think if any teams have got a little bit about them, this Netherlands side can be got at, particularly bearing in mind, they'll be without Virgil van Dijk, who's arguably the best centre-half in world football at the moment. And that means obviously De Ligt and probably De Vries will probably, I'd imagine, occupy the centre-half spots there. But Ukraine, away from Ukraine, haven't fared that well under Shevchenko. They've lost 5 of their last 6 away, but obviously, as you said, they did draw against France last time out. And, they're unbeaten in 5 games they've played since then, but all of those were played in Ukraine. So I think the test for me is to see how well Ukraine do on their travels and in a tournament. How can they fare against this Netherlands side? But these two are undoubtedly the best sides in the group. So I still believe they will finish the top 2. And so it's going to be a very tentative game, a very cagey game, I think, with neither side wanting to give too much away or make any kind of mistakes. But Ukraine have scored in 20 of their last 23 games, even though they missed plenty of their preferred 11, whether it be through COVID or unfortunate injuries. And as we saw against France, they've got the ability to test even the strongest of back lines. So, Yaremchuk, Malinovsky, Yarmolenko, they're going to cause this Dutch back line a host of problems, I feel. It's going to be quite an end-to-end game, quite tactical. I'm looking forward to this one, but it's the opening game of the tournament, obviously, for them. So they always tend to be tight. And I was kind of looking at it, and for me, just going through it, I think both teams to score. I know it's going to be tight, but it's a case of the attacks for me. And, Ukraine can keep it tight. And I just sort of worry with De Ligt, particularly for me. I was really excited when he moved to Juventus. I was thinking, right, he's taken that step up. He's going to go on leaps and bounds and be a generational talent. I was really excited to see how he gets on. And obviously, Tan will be able to obviously speak probably a bit more on it than me. But the occasions that I have watched De Ligt, he doesn't seem, I think it's about 2 years he's been there now, he doesn't seem to have taken that next step. Similar to kind of John Stones, his tackling's occasionally a bit questionable. He's not that leader I thought he would go on and be. So I think this Ukraine attack can kind of pinpoint him and test him. But so yeah, for me, both teams to score, it represented value at plus 118 or 2.18 because it's going to be a case of attack versus attack. So that was my thinking on it.
Thanks, George, and thank you for taking over pronunciation duties on the Dutch defence, because sometimes struggle with De Ligt and De Vries, but they are very good players, and I know they've got Joel Veltman, and I would actually consider putting Nathan Ake in because I think he's a terrific defender if he's recovered from injury in time. They've got a quality midfield. Weghorst, if I'm saying that correctly, seems to have had a very good season up front for Wolfsburg, so he could earn a position in the team alongside old Memphis Depay. They're looking like a good team. What do you think over there, Tan? What's your take on this game?
It's yesterday in chat, many were asking, when you're going to give us some of Euro madness coming along of the Tan madness? And now is the time for that Euro madness. Netherlands are possibly the most unimpressive side they have been for a long time. Thing is that they were already in that position, and now they added the most unimpressive manager of all. Because until Rambo Koeman was there, anyway, there was a vision of tactical manageriality with Frank de Boer. Mamma mia! I don't know if he's the worst manager in the world, but for sure he's competing for the title of the most arrogant manager in the world. When I talk about arrogance, I don't talk about a side of the character of the human being. I wouldn't lack respect towards him in that way. I'm talking about his working attitude. So selfish, so thinking of not being compelled to know deep enough the opponent. I've seen him closely at Inter, and he has repeated failure after failure in MLS at Southampton. Has been one failure after the other. And I have to tell you, I think that against Ukraine, where Shevchenko is managing, being very, very clever, Possibly Ukraine is not something special. Aside Malinovsky, it's a good average, obviously Zinchenko. But the thing is that they are very clever in their attitude. I think that Holland missing Van Dijk, Netherlands missing Van Dijk, they are missing a lot. And there is not someone so special, even if the pie is good, but not something so special to uplift them. So when I saw the odds, and I saw, it depends on bookmakers, but there was approximately European odds 5.50 or 5 or 4.50 of Ukraine to win. I said, here comes the Euro madness. Here comes the risk that you have to take.
Euro madness, I love it. Ukraine to win in Amsterdam. I also think they've got a chance. You know, they're a very strong team. Their results have been really impressive. I actually bet on this game to end in a draw, but I'm sort of leaning towards Ukraine as well in this one. I think it could be 1-1, and then you never know. They could nick it with a late goal. De Boer certainly didn't coat himself in glory during his time at Crystal Palace, did he? And yeah, they're missing a real leader on the pitch in Virgil van Dijk. So fascinated to see how this game pans out. Thank you both so much. Esteban, could we please have the picks up? Okay, we've got George's picks. He's going for England to win and over 1.5 goals. Great price there, plus 120. North Macedonia, just to get on the score sheet against in that second game against Austria. Doesn't matter what the result is, just the score, minus 118. Ukraine, Netherlands, both teams to score at plus 118. Over to Tan, he's going for England to win and both teams to score at plus 350. Draw half-time, Austria full-time at plus 300. And Ukraine to win at plus 500. That is just three
Mamma mia.
Straight Tan madness there. He's going for all the long odds. All you need is one of them to come in and you're in profit for the day. So I like that. I've gone for 2 picks in the England game. I've just got Harry Kane to score at plus 135. I think he's a deadly striker and he'll get terrific service in that game. I'm going for England and under 4.5 goals at minus 120. But on second thoughts, I'd be happy to follow George there for the better odds at plus 120. I'm just going for both teams to score in that Austria versus North Macedonia game. And I've got plus 130 on that. It's the underdog of those two options. And finally, I'm going for both teams to score again. Netherlands, Ukraine, plus 118. I think it can finish 1-1. Thank you very much, Esteban. Appreciate that. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Thanks for your comments in the chat. Just to reiterate, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You'll hear when we're about to do all our videos. Tan's giving it the thumbs up from the Stadio Olimpico there. George is giving it the thumbs up from somewhere in England, and so am I. We'll be back at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time for another round of fixtures. We've got Matt, we've got Alex. It's going to be great. Thank you all so much for watching. Thanks, George. Thanks, Tan. Goodbye, everyone.